Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my very first Q&A video. And if you saw my previous video, I told you all to send in your questions, and I would be glad to answer them. And I've got a very fair little amount of questions that you all asked, and so I'm going to answer them for you all. And so let's get started. The first question comes from 1991 Ariel fan. They asked, which of the Aladdin movies do you prefer more? The original or the direct-to-video sequels? Well, I like the original, because the original is a classic. You have Scott Weinger, who played Steve, DJ's boyfriend on Full House. He did the voice of Aladdin, and you had Robin Williams, who was the genie, and he was the narrator in the first movie, and it was just really good movie, Aladdin, the original. I liked it. The sequels, they're okay, but not as good as the original movie. I mean, you still got Scott Weinger doing the voice of Aladdin in the sequels. Although Robin Williams didn't appear in the second one, he appeared in the third one, the third sequel. But yeah, I like the original Aladdin movie. And the next question comes from the Takel. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your username, but if it is, if I pronounced it right, just let me know. But this question is from the Takel. They asked, what is your favorite Pixar film? This is actually that's kind of a good question, though. It's kind of hard because I like a lot of Pixar movies, except for like Cars. Cars I don't really care for. But if I had to pick, I would pick a trilogy. I would pick the Toy Story trilogy. Basically the first two, because I grew up watching those, and the third one came out last year. So, but Toy Story has always been a favorite of mine ever since when I was a kid. I remember watching the first one so many times. I think I had like a VHS that my uncle made for me because he had it on. If you remember those flopped laser discs, he made like a copy, VHS copy from his laser disc, and he gave it to me. And I remember watching that thing like crazy. I remember watching the first one again and again until I wore out the tape. Yeah, that's how many times I watched the first Toy Story movie. It was just an absolute favorite of mine ever since I was a kid. So yeah, that's a Toy Story trilogy. Next one comes from Katager. I don't know that's how you pronounce your username, but if I pronounced it right, let me know. Katager 1990. He asks, what is your favorite sport? My favorite sport is football. I love football. And he also asks, what is your favorite cinematic representation of that sport? Well, I really liked Remember the Titans. That was a really good movie. Talked about racism and a whole lot of other issues. But it was done really good, that movie. And he asked, do you think it was well done? Yes. Or he also asked, do you think it was well done, or would you like to see a remake? No, I would not like to see a remake in the future. I'd say leave it alone, because Remember the Titans I really liked, and it was very well done, and shouldn't be remade in future years to come. So, and the next question comes from Dude, It's Joe. He says, hey man, my question is, How long have you been a wrestling fan? And who is your favorite performer? I've been a wrestling fan since 2000. I remember my cousin watching a lot of wrestling back in the day, and I was watching it with him, and I was just really, really, excited to see them do all these moves. And I remember as a kid, like I know some people who watched wrestling as a kid thought it was real, but as they grow up, you know it's fake. But yeah, I've been a wrestling fan since 2000. The only wrestling program I watched was WWF, and now it's WWE. And I got to experience the Attitude Era, a little bit of it for I think 2 years, until 2002 when they changed to WWE. But yeah, I had a lot of great favorite wrestlers like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, yeah, and he also asked who is your favorite performer. Nowadays, my favorite performer is John Cena. Can't go wrong with John Cena. He's one of my favorite wrestlers now. And I know a lot of people don't like him and say he's overrated. Yes, he is overrated, but it doesn't mean to since he's overrated, it doesn't mean to hate on him. But John Cena is, like I said, one of my favorite wrestlers nowadays. The next next question comes from Sam Hain 4000. He says, "Hi, I have two questions. Who is your favorite actor of all time, and what is your favorite superhero movie?" My favorite actor of all time is Jim Carrey. Can't go wrong with Jim Carrey. I like him ever since I was a kid. I grew up watching his movies like Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Liar Liar, which is one of my all-time favorite movies from him. And yeah, I liked a lot of movies from him. What's my favorite superhero movie? This is kind of a hard one though, but because I liked a lot of superhero movies. I think the superhero movie that I really, really like is The Dark Knight. Batman's The Dark Knight. Yeah, I know, overrated movie, but I enjoyed it, and Heath Ledger did an amazing performance as the Joker, and he really deserved the Oscar. And it was a shame to see him pass away. I think he passed away before the movie came out, so yeah, it's really a shame. The next question comes from Popcorn Bubbles 1. They ask, what is your opinion on movie remakes? Have you ever watched any anime? If so, what is your favorite? And what is the most overrated and underrated movie you have seen? My opinion on movie remakes is they need to stop with these remakes, because they're remaking classic movies that were classic, like Friday the 13th, mostly horror movies. Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Those remakes sucked compared to the original movies. Go watch the original movies. They're a hell of a lot better than the remakes. But if Hollywood is listening, you should remake a movie that was done poorly, that was done terrible, and remake them into a good movie. That's what they should do. They should make movies that are considered the worst movies ever made, and do them over to make them, good and or perfect. So that's what they should do. And have I ever watched anime? As a kid, I did. I don't watch it now. I don't watch anime now. I don't have a favorite, but the only anime I ever watched was Pokemon. And that was during that whole Pokemon craze of the 90s. So, yeah. The most overrated movie I have seen is probably The Hangover. I love that movie. It's hilarious. I didn't get to see the sequel, so I'll probably wait until that comes out on DVD. And underrated movie, I've seen a lot of underrated movies. If I had to pick one from more recent, it would have to be Battle of Los Angeles. Just I remember that when that movie came out, it came out during the day of the Japan earthquake and tsunami that happened, and like before that, there was like everybody was talking about it and saying, "Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be better than Skyline or Independence Day." And when after it came out, nobody ever speaks of it. And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a ripoff of Independence Day." No, it's basically like a war movie instead of your regular alien invasion movie like Independence Day, War of the Worlds, like that. But it's a hell of a lot better than Skyline, I have to put it. So yeah, Battle of Los Angeles, most underrated movie I've seen more recent. And I'm gonna stop here for part one of this Q&A video, and I'll see you all in part two.